What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. My name is Anbraxas, and this is DLC Gaming Radio. We're going to be nerding out today. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, I'm going to be your host, Anbraxas, every week. Off to my right, here's my friend Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm a wannabe writer trying to get a blog off the ground. Wanted to generate some discussion because I've been a friend of Anbraxas for a really long time. We've had some really interesting conversations lately, so I wanted to see if I get the ball rolling and generate some discussion and seeing what you guys had to say about some things we've been talking about. So hope you enjoyed the show. We have a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Yeah, and we do. We got a lot of different things to talk about today. We had the release of the PS4. They finally announced that. We didn't actually get to see the system. Don't know why they decided not to show it there. That'll be coming up at E3, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about, regardless of them not even showing the actual console itself. I mean, some of it good, some of it bad. I mean, I'm personally excited from a PC gamer standpoint because the industry's finally going to move forward from the dated graphics that have been continuing for the last 10 years, but anyhow, so we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about hardcore versus casual. We're just kind of going to be riffing here, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. Definitely leave your questions, anything you'd like us to talk about on the show in the comment section below this video. So I think the first thing we need to start off with is the PS4 announcement. What are we excited for? What are we not liking? I'm going to let Jack go ahead and take over here.
Well, I saw live blogging when they first announced it with all the details of the system. It seems like, well, and we all know that Sony's been in trouble for a couple years, and I think the brand that they really need to focus on revitalizing is the PlayStation brand. We kind of saw a pretty big failure with the Vita. Seeing it from a retail aspect, the Vita's not selling well at all, and I saw a lot of the PS4 is going to integrate your Vita in so many ways, and we want all PS4 titles to eventually be playable on the Vita. That just seemed like a long shot, because I really don't see people flying out to stores to buy that thing just so they can take their PS4 games with them. Nintendo's had a stranglehold on the handheld market for years, in my opinion, and I think that's something they should stick to. Sony, on the other hand, I saw a lot of social network implementation. You can automatically stream videos while you're playing a game. That just, in my mind, I just have nightmares about being inundated by 12-year-old quick-scoping matches, and I just don't want to see that happen. It does have some interesting things. The one thing I saw that I'm not quite sure about yet, or how I feel about this yet, but let's say we're playing a game, I'm at my house, you're at yours, and then I'm stuck. Oh, dude, I can't beat this part. This game's crazy. You can actually take control of their PS4 remotely and play that part of the game for them. It's kind of lame, but it does open itself up to some pretty cool ideas, like character swapping and co-op or something like that. It does have some potential. It's just that I see so much focus being set on, well, we want to get to as many people as possible. We want to please all these different markets. And seeing Sony react this way and announce their newest console this way just says, hey, we're floundering here. We want to reach as many people as possible because, well, you know, that's what we've come to. That leads into our casual versus hardcore discussion that we were having the other day.
Yeah.
Also, the controller is ugly. I'm sorry. That controller is hideous. Kind of surprised they didn't show us the console.
Yeah, me too.
At the same time, I think they did release some specs on it. If I'm not mistaken, it's like DDR5. It's got, they were showing some Unreal 4 engine displays that did look good. The Watch Dogs demo. PS4 aside, Watch Dogs looks amazing, and I can't wait to see what becomes of that game. But yeah, so far, my impression of the PS4, I see a lot of bells and whistles that not a lot of people are going to be interested in. I think Sony really needs to revitalize the consoles for the people that have been buying those consoles and really, know what they're capable of, know what kind of games they want to play. I wouldn't mind seeing some of the old PlayStation Classic games getting revitalized. I know there's a huge demand for a Final Fantasy VII remake. Now,
if they ever do it.
If they ever do it. And I think Squaresoft said a while ago they would only remake 7 if they made a Final Fantasy that they felt was better than 7. And I don't think it's going to happen.
Yep, not
but,
happening.
And Square Enix has branched out to other consoles now, but 7 was a PlayStation exclusive. And just seeing how the gaming market changed from such a niche to, it's strange if you don't have some kind of console in your house now. Seeing that evolution, it's just the PS4 was a big letdown in my eyes. If that's indeed what it is. Also, potential banning of used games.
Yeah,
once you
that's a
pop
big
in a
issue.
disc into your system, that system owns that disc. You can't let your friends borrow your games. You can't trade games in anymore. That would be a really, really big misstep on their part. And they're kind of playing it safe right now. They kind of said, well, we wouldn't want to do anything to piss off our loyal fans and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, if you cut out that used game market, you're just like infuriating all the casual players that you're trying so hard to buy your system. They'll be shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Because Sony needs to sell units. They need to sell consoles. They need to beef up their online community. But I don't want to see them pandering to this insane casual crowd that just plays Call of Duty. And
Yeah.
I really don't want to see gaming turn into, your Call of Duty box. That's just my take on the first impressions of the system. I want to see it. I want to see games being played on it. I'm going to follow it at E3 really closely. I think that's when we're going to get an announcement about Xbox. I'm speculating that Xbox is they've already said it comes with some kind of built-in Kinect. So if it doesn't get too gimmicky, I still have high hopes. But the whole motion gaming, that only appeals to certain people.
Yeah.
I've been playing games for 20 years now. I have no interest in dancing games. I have no interest in Zumba. It's not my bag. And that's another casual versus hardcore thing. I know people who just play exercise games, and that's all they do. That's one niche that you're trying to compensate for. But at the same time, you can't alienate the hardcore players that I just want to sit down with a controller in my hand and play my game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did not watch the announcement live. I wanted to save it for the second time. So I did watch the stream through the second time. And as a YouTuber, and I'm sure there's a lot of you that are YouTubers watching this video, I just about shit bricks when I heard that you could upload videos and stream from your console. Now, I mean, there's not very many YouTubers out there who are console players. Not in the least. However, the ones that are and are successful, I mean, that's aimed directly at them, but I mean, that's a whole subject in itself. I might say for another video.
Okay.
I mean, it could be something that you don't even have to worry about. It's not going to be a thing, but as far as the PS4 announcement was concerned, I mean, I have a PS3. I have not played it ever since I bought a PC. I mean, I'll be completely honest there. I think the last title that I played on was Metal Gear Solid. So I was really disappointed with the PS4 announcement. There was almost nothing about the system itself that made me say, ooh, I want that.
Yeah, I got that impression too. I remember being so excited when they announced the 360 and the PS3, and this time it's just like, oh, you're throwing in all this awful crap that I don't want and have no interest in. Like the one thing that jumped out at me, I forgot to mention this, the PlayStation 4 will watch what kind of games you like to play and the games you buy, and based on your likes and dislikes, you may come home to preloaded content on your console. I'm at work and you're gonna download a bunch of crap to my console because you think I'm into it. Sorry, no, thank you.
That is not gonna fly. Not in today's market.
That's gonna piss a lot of people off.
I mean, granted, like with the PC, there's a few exceptions to that. Especially if you're running Steam. Like it will update your games in the background, but it's negligible.
That's one thing.
Like you can't detect it. I mean, it kind of happens under the radar. You'll download a patch over the course of a week.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, what happens if you buy a PS4, you've got it sitting at your TV, say it's in your room, like a lot of us, we do keep our consoles in our rooms, and all of a sudden, 4:30 in the morning, that bad boy just whoop, spins up and starts downloading.
Well, I know that PlayStation Plus members and PlayStation Plus members, I know you can get automatic updates. Your system will automatically update itself, turn itself on, do the update, turn itself off. That's pretty cool. I have no problem with that. But when you're going to suggest content and game demos and videos that you think I'm going to like and fill up my hard drive with that's borderline creepy. I don't want my system being raped by content that I don't want on it.
What I'm thinking about is hard drives, they've gotten relatively cheap. However, they aren't cheap enough where if you're going to mass produce a console, you're going to put out 40 million of these bad boys. You aren't going to be putting a terabyte drive in them, not for any cheap price. They'll probably have 500 gig hard drives or something like that to start with.
Yeah.
I don't expect them to go any lower than 500 gigabytes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But if this thing is downloading trailers, demos, game updates, and stuff in the background,
matches.
am I gonna go to bed one night, wake up the next day, you turn it on, and you can't do that. Your hard drive's full. Why is it full? Well, we thought you might like Legoland. I never played it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. It would just take like one Call of Duty video popping up on there.
Yeah.
I have to waste my time deleting for me to just be like, no. Yeah. So if it's done right, like branching into social media a little bit more wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Getting some kind of service set up where it's almost like Facebook for video games. Excuse me. On a console is pretty impressive, but I just want to see where they want to go with it. I don't know, what beyond advertising or getting out their, whatever exclusives or Vita stuff they're trying to push on consumers.
Yeah.
It's like, why bother with that when you could just like focus on quality rather than
that's
spreading out to all these different people that aren't really interested in what you're selling.
That's a big thing, though. I mean, when they're announcing this console, and every 2 or 3 paragraphs of a speech, they're throwing that word Vita in there. I don't know what. I mean, he works at games. My buddy
I'm a retailer. I work at GameStop, and I see how they market these kind of things. Obviously, I can't talk about how they do their marketing stuff, but it's just there's very clear audiences for games, and it seems like Sony can't settle down on one. Like Nintendo has the casual family gaming market wrapped up. Yep. Now the Wii U is a little weird. That launch was very unsuccessful, if I have to make an opinion. When the Wii came out, that was one of the highest selling consoles of all time because you couldn't find them anywhere, and they drummed up demand for them for so long, and they were this awesome new revolutionary gaming system. The Wii U just confused people. A lot of people would ask me like, "Oh, is this the new handheld, or is this a DS with a Wii?" And it's like, no, this is a tablet and a gaming console, and it's strange, It's weird seeing like Nintendo go from Super Nintendo N64 and those kind of classics that we grew up with to this strange amalgamation of technology.
Well, you know what? As far as Nintendo is concerned, like if we're going to hop off the PS4 train here, as far as Nintendo is concerned, I just always, I loved Nintendo right up till Wii. And Nintendo's continuing this weird process of, check out our new console. It has like 1/15 of the power of the previous one, and I'm not really sure what's going on here. Like, I know the Wii U is supposed to be a tablet and a Temple Run. Temple Run comes on tablets and smartphones. Okay, that's what I'm expecting to show up on the Wii U.
It is cool from one perspective, though, because we all know, if you've been interested in games for any time more than 10 years, you know that Nintendo has never really worked well with third-party developers. They've always rested on their home franchises. Their Zeldas, their Marios, their Donkey Kongs, their Kirby's.
Oh, God.
And I would love to see a next-gen Zelda, like a fully fleshed-out RPG, like with enough production value to put it on par with like The Witcher or Mass Effect. Like seeing that much effort poured into a Zelda title, that would be awesome because those are the things we grew up with.
Yeah,
I'm excited just because I heard there was a link to the past 3DS release. I would love to play that game again with like new graphics and visuals. I don't see a problem with reboots because I'm seeing a lot of reboots happen lately. Like there's been a lot of HD collections. The Jak and Daxters, the Ratchet and Clanks. There's been a lot of like Tomb Raider's getting a reboot, and it looks amazing. I'm really stoked for that.
Super excited.
I would like to see Nintendo focus more heavily on their games rather than pushing gimmicky technology. Because the tablet controller is kind of cool. Okay, I'm playing Assassin's Creed, and my HUD is empty, and all my inventory is right here on my little tablet, and I can just boop boop crossbow. That's kind of cool. But is it really necessary?
Yeah, it's necessary.
It's gimmicky, and anybody that has been playing games for years will tell you they're not really interested in the gimmicks. I was one of the kids who passed on the Game Boy printer, and I did it for a reason, right? And that's what I'm seeing with Nintendo do again. I want to see I would like to see more third-party titles on their system. That's pretty cool. Like I've pretty much broken things up with Nintendo at this point. My Wii, I own 3 games for my Wii, and I have probably 25 Super Nintendo and N64 games on it. Like, that's what I use my Wii for.
Well, see, the whole thing I wanted to bring up was, okay, we got the PS4 announcement, we're going to get the Xbox 360 announcement, and we know what the Wii U was. I mean, okay, I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, but it's all gimmicky stuff.
Yeah.
Buy a Vita, it'll enhance, somehow it will enhance your experience. No, not really, but if you're going to try to convince me, maybe possibly. But, you know, we're hearing more and more rumors. Xbox 720 is coming up. Buy, you know, whatever this system is with Kinect, because everyone loves just waving their hands around and jerking their controller around their head trying to get shit to work, right?
Yeah, that brings up another thing. I was just talking about Nintendo. I love the Zelda games. I've loved them since I was little. Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time, obviously. I love them. I always will.
Right, but
Skyward Sword.
But let me ask you a question, Quay. As far as Zelda's concerned, do you feel like it is absolutely 100% necessary it has to be on a Nintendo system?
Exactly. I think that Nintendo branching out their game franchises to other consoles would be a good move eventually, but it'll take a long time for that to happen. What I was going to say was, with the Zelda games, I wanted to play Skyward Sword, but there's no option to just use a controller. You have to, you have to fight with the sword and bash with the I can't do that. I feel like an
because
idiot.
You know what it ultimately turns into? All right, I'll show you guys what all this motion technology ultimately turns into. It turns into us sitting on our couches trying our best to like get things done with as least movement as possible. Instead of swinging the sword, we're sitting here doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was a really good way to put it, because I completely agree. But so everybody's saying, oh, the Wii U is the beginning of next gen. That's what I keep hearing. I don't buy it. I think they just caught up. In a perfect world, I would imagine Nintendo just saying, hey, we're going to focus on our handhelds, because the 3DS is excellent. It's an awesome handheld. For what it is, it's awesome. I want to see them focus on their handhelds and bringing their home franchise games up to the next level. Yeah. You know, seeing like a really fleshed out, like mature version. I'm not saying an M-rated version, but more mature RPG than the typical Zelda game, or a more in-depth shooter than the old Metroids. Like Metroid Prime was awesome. And
Call of Duty coming for Nintendo.
Call of Duty Metroid. All of Metroid 3, Samus Warfare.
But you know what? Speaking of Call of Duty, I think that would be a good segue into the hardcore versus casual.
Oh yes. Yeah. I'm gonna. Can I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
A disclaimer for future episodes: if you're a Call of Duty player, I'm gonna piss you off at some point, and I apologize. But I used to play the original Call of Duty religiously. You remember this?
Yeah.
And seeing what it's devolved into, it's just become the lowest common denominator. They're just shipping units. They're reboxing the same game every year. It's an easy game. Most casual players can pick it up for 10 minutes. Kill a couple terrorists in the desert and they feel like they had fun. But, you know, when the game's playing itself, like, aim assist in multiplayer should have never happened. Whoever decided that, whoever put that into the game, should be fired. Because what it did was, people are more inclined to keep playing a game if they think they're good at it, right?
Yeah.
That, you know, human nature would lend itself to that. And I think Call of Duty has just devolved. It's watering down the gaming market, because you see all these other games trying to add, they're all adding multiplayer. Everything coming out, Tomb Raider multiplayer,
Far Cry 3 multiplayer.
Far Cry 3 multiplayer.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3, which is a long-standing single-player game. Multiplayer. Now that multiplayer was actually fun. It's just horde mode, but it's still fun. You actually see like single-player rewards for it. But I'm seeing like everybody trying to follow the Call of Duty success model.
Yeah,
and I really don't like it.
The progressive.
So I'm gonna piss off the Call of Duty fans eventually. I apologize, but not really. Anyway, continue.
But shoot, we got to go back to the PS4 for a second. We forgot to talk about the tech specs.
Oh, I wasn't entirely clear on the specs.
Right. I'll give you guys a quick rundown for this. So basically, what's happening on the PS4, and this is what really turned me off from the system. Like, I could maybe eventually get over the whole peripherals, play it with your phone, Vita, kind of mindset, but when they released the actual specs for it, this system is putting a lot of bank on its memory and graphic card. Now, you can't really compare it to a computer, because computer memory and video game memory, two completely different things. Now, that bad boy is going to come with 8 gigabytes of RAM in it, which is going to be a really good thing for it. And it's going to allow developers to do a lot with the texture resolutions. We will finally maybe see future releases for this game coming up in 1080p, which is a great thing. However, when they talked about the processor, they were talking about the I think it was the X38.
X38, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this processor has already been tested and proven. Like, developers know what the limits of this processor already is. Now, I know that they wanted to team up with AMD to try to keep the system cost down a little bit because they had to sell every PS3 at a massive loss. And I'm sure they don't want to do that with the PS4, at least not as much. But they do want to have some sort of flexibility when they're trying to sell you this system. They don't want it to cost, too much. So they're getting rid of their cell processors. They're dropping down an AMD processor. I just have to ask, why would they go with... It's an 8-core, 1.8 gigahertz processor when AMD just released the Vashira, which is an 8-core, 4.0 gigahertz processor. If they were going to go, as far as like the hardware is concerned, now it might be a little different for consoles, but why didn't they just pick up a chip with a little more beef?
That would make more sense to me because what's going to happen is the same thing that happened with this generation. Well, it's been happening. PCs they're easier to upgrade. They last longer, and they consistently produce better quality better looking games and better running games. Like, if you've seen what Skyrim looks like with full HD textures, like with some really good mods going, it's impressive. Or games like Battlefield 3. It looks okay on consoles, but you play that on a high-end PC, it is gorgeous. Same thing with The Witcher 3. Now, that one was just confirmed as a PS4 release. I'm a big fan of the Witcher series. I had to play Witcher 2 on my 360 because, unlike this gentleman over here, I don't have a high-end PC. Witcher 3 looks incredible, and just the stuff we've seen so far has been on the previous renderer. They haven't even finished the renderer for this game yet, and it has so much potential. They're going for the Skyrim formula, the open world, loose quest structure formula, but I'm a fan of the Witcher series because it's a very grown-up, dark RPG, like fantasy RPG, and it's something I hadn't really encountered before, except for maybe Demon Souls and Dark Souls, but it's something that I see taking full advantage of next-gen hardware. Because they said at first, we're coming out with it for the PC and whatever systems are most powerful when they launch. So, I'm not tech savvy enough to really pick the PS4 apart, but if I had to guess, I'd just say 2 years after it comes out, people are going to be buying PCs that are better.
Well, see, that's the part that's really killing me about this whole announcement, and this is going to affect everything a little bit later on, but the PS4, like, I put a little bit of money in my system. I'd say it's like a $1,200 system. The system I'm running now is going to roughly have 70% more power than the PS4 right off the bat. Now, granted, the PS4 is going to be putting a lot of stock into their GPUs. And that's what's really going to be doing the hardcore processing for the games, like the pixel animations, object details, a little bit of the physics, stuff like that. A lot of the volumetric clouds, that all is hinging on their GPUs. And they've got a great GPU lineup for the PS4. Now, what I'm really worried about is, okay, my PC's already going to be better than the PS4. The only thing that I'm expecting coming out of that X38 chip's better PC ports. I'm worried about what happens when the 720 comes out. What if the Xbox 720, or whatever the fuck they're going to actually call this thing, what if it doubles what the PS4 is going to do?
I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, because I think that's why Xbox came out and said, we have a giant announcement at E3 this year. And that was like 2 months ago. They came out and said, we're going to announce something really big. They started a countdown. Yeah. And everybody started freaking out. It's got to be the new Xbox. Well, at this point, yes, it is. It has to be. Sony, I think, jumped the gun because if you remember last month, like quote-unquote specs of the Xbox 720, codenamed Durango, leaked. And I think Sony took that maybe literally and said, oh, well, that's what they're coming out with. Let's push out something a little bit better. I think Xbox is kind of waiting in the wings to see what Sony really settles on, sees what they're bringing to the table, because it's going to leak before E3. We're going to see it. We'll probably see it the next couple months. We've seen the controller already. I have a feeling they didn't show the box itself because it's probably in a really ugly prototype stage and they're still working out the kinks. But when it comes to the Xbox, I would not be surprised if Microsoft just laid the smack down and they're just like, boom, it's $400, but it's more powerful than the PS4 right off the bat.
We'll see.
And it can do all the same stuff, but it works easier. Because that's the thing about Xbox versus PS3 right now. The Xbox system, yeah, you have to pay for online, but it's way more user-friendly. It appeals to a much larger audience. Whereas I feel like Sony is kind of in Nintendo's shoes where they have a very, like they have a very tight hold over a smaller group. There are dedicated Sony fans. There are dedicated Nintendo fans. Xbox was a bit later, but they branch out to more people. They're easier to use.
Well, I mean, as far as that's concerned, I mean, yeah, Sony does have a little bit of a stranglehold in their markets when it comes to the U.S. market. I mean, we saw it when we had the Xbox 360 and PS3 come out. PS3 is too expensive. Most of the consumer base straight to the Xbox. Now, true, there was a lot of diehard Sony fans who waited around, paid up for the PS3, but we suffered because there wasn't as big of a community. Our online features were pretty garbage for a while. I mean, hell, we were shut down for 2.5 months because of a hack.
Oh man, listening to everybody complain about that was not fun. I had to hear. I got phone calls
every
day at work about it. What's wrong with the PlayStation Network? I'm trying to play Call of Duty. yeah, and every day for weeks.
But here's what I'm worried about. We know what the specs for the PS4 are going to be. We already know what the specs for the Wii U were. So please, developers, do not build games to go on to the Wii U. You're going to kill us here.
Oh,
we'll have another 10 years of PS3 type graphics. But as far as the PS4 specs are concerned, even if Microsoft comes out now and they blow the specs out of the water, like this is going to be bigger, bolder, better, it doesn't matter because Sony's already drawn the line in the sand. They're the lowest common denominator. That's what games have to be designed for now. They have to be able to run them both.
That's true, and it's not. Just because, like exclusives. Like, yeah, the Sony developers know what they're dealing with now. But what are they going to make? Like, what about the cross-platform titles like the big ones like Assassin's Creed and Mass Effect just became a PlayStation series. It for the longest time was only on Xbox. Well, the first game was only on Xbox. Then Mass Effect 2 Game of the Year came out for PS3, and now when the trilogy came out, people could actually have a disc version of the first Mass Effect. But when it comes to their exclusives, what all these console developers are missing, and this is one thing I fully believe, and I think a lot of you out there might agree with me. If you don't, post a comment. I'd love to talk about it. I think all these console developers, Microsoft, Sony, EA, Activision, Nintendo, need to focus on their games. If they focus on their games, and they focus on their longest running series, their most popular series, their most loved series, and they really bring them up to the next level, like, just look at Mario, man. We grew up playing Mario. And I played Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS. I tried it out. By the time I finished the first world, 38 lives. It's just gotten easier and easier and easier because it's a broader market now. It's also a younger market. It's part of the reason I don't like Call of Duty so much is because I don't like going online to kill people and I get yelled at and called a faggot by a bunch of 10-year-olds. You know, it's kids that would be the age of our little brothers that grew up watching us play those awesome Call of Duties.
Yeah.
And now it appeals to a younger, more fragile market, I guess, because they're not as well versed in the online community. But anybody over the age of 18 that plays online hates these kids, and I'm confident in saying they've ruined a lot of online gaming, at least for me.
League of Legends.
Oh yeah. After World of Warcraft, after me and World of Warcraft broke up for good, I played League of Legends for a while, and yes, it does have the worst community ever in video games. I will fully say that. It's a fun game though. It has a lot of potential, and I like the model it uses. I would be interested in seeing League of Legends on a console or something like it. They tried it with the Guardians of Middle Earth thing, but that whole free to play but not pay to win model, like pay for cosmetic changes, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like stuff, you were watching me play Dead Space, and I'm a big fan of Dead Space. I love Dead Space 3. One thing I really didn't like is, you can buy resource packs to craft weapons and items and, upgrades. You either have to find those materials in the game, or you can buy them with Microsoft points.
Yeah.
That was a downer for me. With Mass Effect 3, they kind of took the Madden approach where you can earn credits to buy packs that include other characters or other weapons or upgrades or single-use items that you... Like, they have items that are persistent you can use across all your characters, and they have single-use items that are only good for one match. Like, they'll give you a special ammo type or something like that for a match. That being earned by actually playing games makes sense to me, but then it was kind of like you could buy them with Microsoft points, too. Yeah, it's a little different because, in Madden, you want to buy all those packs to, like, make your ultimate team or something like that. Mass Effect, you want to get all the characters so that you can just go in and play a character up to the max level, promote them, and then start another one. Like, that's how I played it. It was kind of a downer to see, like, oh, I could just go buy some Microsoft points and then get all the characters right away. Like, I like seeing a reward for the time I put into a game.
See, I mean, we're getting a little long in this video. We might have to put it in the next one, but I do want to briefly touch on this subject. We're seeing more and more games like that where it's like, yes, you can work toward this awesome reward. Maybe it's like a piece of gear, maybe a sword, weapon, whatever. You can work towards that in a game. And then a month or two later, they throw it up on the store. Joe Schmo, who never played the game before, come in, swoop it up, and whatever reward you felt from doing any particular task is completely gone. It's wasted.
Yep.
And
that's part of the reason I fell out of love with WoW.
Well, yeah.
You can PvE for PvP gear, you can PvP for PvE gear, and everybody can do anything and get the same kind of currency to spend on whatever they want. And then you have a bunch of people that didn't have to slog through raids and slog through battlegrounds and learn their class and learn their specializations. And you're, again, appealing to the lowest common denominator. Like, one thing, anybody watching that feels like they've gotten anything from this, one question I want to ask is, do you really feel like video games are being cheapened? Like, do you feel like, video games are unique because they are kind of an artwork. They're an art form. They involve writers and artists, musicians. Hundreds of man hours go into producing some of the best games you've played. I've seen big jumps in technology and the effort developers put behind their games, but it is still a quantifiable product. It is still a product to be put on shelves and sold and to make money. I wrote a blog about this a couple weeks ago. You can find my blog on GameInformer.com. Just do a search for JS Press and Esquire. I only have a couple things on there, but I'm going to start doing a post per episode. So you can either respond to the one I just mentioned about developer choice. Developer vision versus player choice. When did developers stop making the game that they wanted to make in favor of appealing to their audience? Anything you guys would have to say about that, I'd be really interested in, because that's something that I've been talking to a lot of people about. A lot of people ask, like, why did they put that in this game? Or why is this game like this? And it's like you're getting more and more questions like that because of how they're changing. Like, why do you think that is? Like, do you think the industry really is gearing up to just get out to everyone, rope in all the casuals, and then throw the hardcore guys to the wind? I guess I don't want to sound like a preachy, like, oh, I'm a real nerd because I've been playing games since
no.
I don't want to sound like that, because I do like some of the changes happening in the industry.
Oh, wait, let me cover this one.
No, go ahead.
As far as we don't want to sound like preachy super nerds where it's like, no, we were there, we did that, but there is something to be said about the games that we used to play versus the games now, where games you used to play, when you got stuck, you were screwed. Like, that was it. You went online, you looked up a guide, a walkthrough. You had to find something if you couldn't figure it out yourself, and that was it. And I mean, they don't let that happen in games now. I mean, I can't think of one game where I've actually gone and just been completely lost, where the game hasn't come through and kicked me in the ass with a quick time scene or shot me in the head with a sniper rifle.
Quick time events. Okay, a message to all game developers: stop doing quick time events.
Yeah.
Seriously, God of War can get away with it because you at least have to earn it, and it's kind of cool. It's cinematic. It's its thing. It works. But I hate quick time events. I'm gonna use that second for what you just said.
I
gotta pitch Dark Souls. Dark Souls is my ray of light right now. It is one of the finest RPGs ever made. It's not because it's hard; it just expects more from its players, and I want to see more games like that. When Sony's focus with the PS4 again, they're focusing so much on sharing your experiences with other players and helping your buddies through tough parts of games. I want to see them really build up a system where gamers are rewarded for the time they put in.
I want to see them put in. You make some games where it's actually a valuable asset. I might actually need my buddy to help me with the game.
That would be really cool. And that's why I say, I'm very skeptical right now. Excuse me. But I do think it has potential, and I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But when it comes to games being incredibly easy and always having loopholes for the more casual market, you should play some Dark Souls, buddy. I've pitched it to you before, but you gotta play it. Anybody out there, I'm also going to start doing some reviews. Once you get onto my blog, you will notice that I am a Dark Souls fanboy. I'm going to start talking about that. But yeah, if you have anything you want to add, or if you're just interested in a really punishing but really rewarding RPG, definitely try it out. Also, Demon Souls on the PS3. I'm going to be covering reviews every so often too, so my buddy Anbraxas here has got the PC end pretty wrapped up.
Yeah.
But when I pop on the show, I'm going to also take some time to talk about some console stuff.
But I think that's going to be a good stopping point for our show today. Leave in the comments below, get a little discussion going. Next DLC Gaming Radio's topic might be coming from the comments itself. So if you want something out there you want to discuss, maybe you even want to hop on the show. If you put up a compelling argument, I'd be more than happy to bring you on.
We'll hang out
here.
online. We'll be bros. It'll be fun.
We'll bros. Bro fist.
Yeah.
No. But that's going to be it for us, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment. And as always, subscribe. And we'll catch you later.
Have a good one, everybody.